Before watching this video, please take a conflict styles inventory. There are some links in your workbook, and most free online tools take about 10 minutes to complete. This lesson on conflict is not about this kind of conflict, although I will recommend making choices that are most likely to keep yourself and others safe. It's not really about this kind of conflict either, although we will discuss how to de-escalate so that your conflicts don't turn into shouting matches. We all behave differently in different circumstances with specific people, and no conflict style inventory can tell you who you are in a conflict. You might have gotten a result that says you are a quote avoider or a quote confronter, but really what the inventory is telling you is the style you use most often or more often than others. There are dozens and dozens of similar surveys, and there is a good chance that if you took several, you would get slightly different answers from each. No one survey has the answer to who you are in a conflict. So do not let that inventory define you. The survey gives us a point of data that might help us understand ourselves. Don't take the results as labels, even if they present them that way. You're not a confronter or an avoider. And to support that, I am going to use words like conflict position or tool, and instead of labels like avoider, I'll say avoiding going forward. So, what was the point of your survey? The goal is to consider how we usually act when we are in a conflict and to recognize, most importantly, that we have other options. We are all complex. We all react differently with different people and in different environments. The biggest takeaway here is that there is no one right way to respond in all conflicts. There are some wrong ways, but there is not one response that is always the best way in every situation. We have choices, and we should choose the option that leads to the outcome we seek. The conflict inventories I recommended were based on the Thomas Kilmann Conflict Mode instrument. You might have chosen one based on this. It's very often used. Or perhaps you found another one from a well-known research-based organization, such as the Blake and Moulton Grid or the Intercultural Conflict Styles Inventory. What matters is that the results show you which of the 1, 2, or maybe 3 of 5 conflict positions you most frequently use. So I'm going to use commonly used terms across many different instruments, but some versions of the inventory are going to use different terms. Avoiding or withdrawing, accommodating, competing or power dominance or confronting, compromising, and collaborating. Here's another way to look at those choices. Imagine you were feeling highly assertive, but not very cooperative. Or perhaps you're in a conflict with someone else who is being highly assertive and not very cooperative, and you find yourself following their lead. Or maybe you work in an organization where the common culture is one of high assertiveness and low cooperation. In these circumstances, we might be more likely to be competitive or use our power to dominate others. What if we're feeling neither cooperative nor assertive? Or perhaps that's the culture where we work. In these cases, we'll usually avoid or withdraw from a conflict. Perhaps we're being highly cooperative, but not very assertive. In these cases, we tend to accommodate others. Alternatively, perhaps we're feeling highly assertive and cooperative. The other person or people are behaving in a highly assertive and cooperative manner, and or our workplace culture is one where people are encouraged to cooperate while being assertive. In these cases, we often will collaborate. Let's differentiate assertive from aggressive before we go on. There is a lot of confusion about this. They do share some things in common. They both express that the speaker believes they're right or that they have something to say that is of value, and both are meant to be clear and direct, although aggressive speakers may be less clear than they think, and there is a difference between direct and blunt or curt. Where we start to veer off toward more aggressiveness is when we don't show respect for the other person's capabilities, needs, values, comments. Assertiveness is showing respect for both our own thoughts and needs, as well as the other person's thoughts and needs. We protect our own rights, and we don't step on the rights of others. So keep that in mind when looking at this chart. These 5 positions are thought to be the most common ways people respond in a conflict. Knowing the methods you use most frequently can help you make choices that work for you in the future.